Let's talk a little bit about expectations. First of all, good morning and welcome back to the channel. It's your girl, Lori. I really wanted to jump in on this one. I have podcasts on it. I have a lot of my content is on drop-in expectations. But I was like, you know what? Let me pop in here. It's a Friday here. Let me pop in and like really kind of break some things down for you. And it's a good, I'm going to give you a little exercise in the middle of it or towards the end so you can do it on your own. So you can start really analyzing your expectations. So expectations we know are rooted in ego. In life, you live in a part of your ego regardless, but it's not to do so unhealthily. And carrying expectations definitely builds in ego. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of that. So here's a list of traditional expectations that people carry, right? So I'm going to show you how to kind of rewire that. Instead of saying these are your have-tos, these are things that you would like to desire, right? You're allowed to want those things, but you should not expect those from people. When you know what you align with without assigning that expectation to a person, like, okay, I need to be respected. Okay, first of all, what does that even look like to you? And second of all, why are we attaching those expectations to people? This is just what you are going to align with. So if you take, this is part of that exercise, if you take a list of whatever your expectations are, right? So this is going to require pen to pad. Do not do this in your head. Do not try to do this on an iPad. Just do this pen to paper. I promise you, pen to paper, it's scientifically proven to be really effective as far as processing. But I want you to, it doesn't have to be those expectations, right? Of whatever your own expectations are of other people, right? Even of yourself, but definitely towards other people. I want you to write those down. Now, what I want you to do is understand that based in those expectations, we're going to now create those into boundaries, not towards a certain person. This is where your ego comes into check. You can't say, I need my sister to do. This is required. First of all, I hold no requirements from people, right? I love my children, but if they don't call me on my birthday, I might feel, which remember, feelings aren't facts, right? So they're just my stuff to process. I may want them to, but let's say my son or my daughter or somebody forgot to because they were busy. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt because they didn't call me. It's not a requirement for me. See, that's where you have to differentiate between bruised ego. In no way, shape, or form do you have to show up for Mother's Day if you guys are not in a great space. It's not a requirement. So this is where you have to get really clear into your own boundaries, because people cannot invade a boundary that you believe in. They will try. That's just human nature. But I want you to take some expectations that you have, and I want you to write that down and say, okay, looking at these expectations, don't assign those to specific people. Looking at those expectations, what do I need to do for myself to give myself that? You have to give your own self your respect. And how do you do that? You get up and you do your gratitude journal 365 days a year. If you're like, well, I kind of just don't feel like it. Okay, then you're not respecting yourself, so don't think other people should. See, you're looking for other people to fill that void, and that's not reality. People can't fill that void. You are enough and you are everything that you need. Everybody else is icing on the cake. So like, an example of that would be, yeah, I would hopefully prefer that my husband isn't out cheating with someone. I'm not going to beat myself up against the wall trying to figure it out. And if he does, then that's his actions. That's not a reflection of me. Him cheating doesn't make me less than. It means something that he was going through. Then I have a choice now to say, do I want to stay in this and try to work through it? Or is this like too much for me and I'm going to keep it moving? But it's not a reflection of me because I don't expect you to be loyal to me. You're not a golden retriever. And we know that it's not an expectation. There's just a level of this is what we vibe with. Now, if he constantly goes out and does this, I'm not staying and I'm not going to feel like I'm less than because of it. Same thing with work, right? So if you're a client of mine, yes, it's not that I expect to be paid. It's a process. I don't see people before I'm paid. It's not an expectation. It's just a process. So if somebody's like, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, I don't expect you to do that. If you choose to do that, great. This is the process. It's the same way, not just about me. It's the same thing with other people. I'm not going to have them put on expectations on me either, right? So you have to understand that part of your expectations has everything to do with you. So what I want you to do, well, it has everything to do with you, not part of it. I want you to realize that the expectations that you're carrying are some weird thing that you think in your head of, if this person gives me this, I'll feel whole. So this is where we need to redirect every bit of those expectations back to you. This is introspective work. This is a little tiny bit of shadow work, nothing crazy, but this is where it's coming back to you. Stop blaming other people. I'm sorry, but that's where we are. Stop blaming other people for making you feel something. They do not. They create actions. You create the attachment of the emotion. That is just how it goes. Okay, so I want you to keep clear when you look at those expectations, how many of those expectations that you've now written down are you fulfilling for yourself, right? And you're like, I don't know. Okay, again, I'm gonna go back to the journaling. You know, I have a whole episode on, I'll put it right here. You have a whole episode on the 5 journals. It's like 6.5 minutes. So understanding that is going to be your best friend. Getting into a space to where you can understand, what am I doing? Right? Because you're looking at all of these other people, but what are you doing to respect yourself? Are you doing your breathing exercises? Are you doing your journaling? Are you doing whatever it is that you feel that you want to do? Stop looking at other people and expecting them to take away that feeling of emptiness, or to, walk on eggshells for you because you're having a bad day. No. So this introspective work on expectations, first, you have to identify what the expectations are, and then you have to attach what you're doing to give yourself those expectations. Yes, I know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of introspective work. That's just part of my practice. That's how I roll. But it does give you a little bit of insight to where you're like, damn, I'm really putting a lot of expectations on other people. I see this now. I'm really putting that there. And the expectations that you're putting on other people are actually things that you need to check yourself on. Those are your level of insecurities, because no one is here to make you feel whole. That's your job for yourself. So do that work. Let me know in the comments. Really sit with it. It doesn't have to be a 5-minute process. Stop rushing the process. This could take you a few days, a month, a year. It doesn't matter. You're not on a time limit. There's no pass fail. But it's good for you to start to see, because when you identify what those expectations are, then and only then can you create boundaries that are specific to you. Okay? So have a rock star weekend, or whenever you're watching this, have a rock star day.